And for more on former President Trump's legal situation tonight, we are joined by attorney Mark Reichel. Mark, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So, Mark, we just heard Evan discussing this. The grand jury is expected to hear the case from Fulton County, Georgia's DA over the alleged attempts to sway the 2020 election in Trump's favor. Does this, by definition, mean we are closer to a fourth indictment? When would you expect it?
You know, really, it depends on what the witness is expected to talk about. If it's something that's like a closing statement for grand jurors, something that finalizes things and sums it up and gives the final answer, or if it's someone who's more of a preview witness. We know here there's already been a lot of witnesses that come in. It sounds to me like this individual is going to talk about things that are at the end of the investigation. So yes, I think you could be looking at an indictment in this case probably within 2 weeks.
Okay, and the former lieutenant governor and a journalist say that they have both been called to testify. What type of testimony are you expecting to hear from them?
They're both going to talk about, I think, that the status of the situation in Georgia was that Georgia state officials, Republicans, had counted everything. We're done, completely done with their own investigation, and found out it was a fair election and that Biden won the electors, right? And these are the individuals that would be in the know about that, and the timing that the phone call to Georgia comes in on January 2nd, long after any investigation is closed. There's an answer to it. There's a conclusion. It was a fair election. Biden won. I think that's what they're going to set up in their testimony.
Okay. And at another hearing this week, a judge warned Mr. Trump of the limits on what he can talk about in the federal case against him. What kind of limits are there, and what are the consequences if he breaks them?
What she has done is put this back into a regular criminal case. Honestly, the running for president is voluntary. It's not something that's mandatory. Someone has chosen to do that. They're also under indictment for a really significant, one of the most significant federal cases ever brought in this country. And so they have to conform to those rules. And those rules are normally very strict in federal court, that you cannot intimidate witnesses, you cannot prejudice witnesses, you can't tamper with them, nor can you with a jury as well. So talking even publicly about witnesses with veiled threats or almost direct threats, talking to jurors about what would happen if they were to vote against him in a trial, is absolutely playing with fire. He's also been put under a complete protective order that he can review things, but he can't make copies, can't take photographs of, and he can't disseminate that to other people or use that for political purposes. His campaign is tremendously hampered by the protective order in this case. I have to sign on as the attorney for clients all of the time to these exact protective orders in serious federal cases. So this is common for us as lawyers, but I know it's going to impact running for president.
I appreciate that perspective. And with the time we have, I do want to move now quickly to the case against Hunter Biden. Republicans have criticized the move to appoint David Weiss. He is a U.S. attorney appointed by then President Trump. Are their arguments justified?
Well, you have to really, the appointment of a U.S. attorney is a very big political plum. So when the president gets elected, through each district, they really ask them to resign the prior administration's U.S. attorney, and they get to appoint their own. So this individual was appointed by President Trump. In 2018, they thought the world of him. So now all of a sudden they don't like him enough. The special counsel is something that the nation follows. So there can't be any trickery here. They can't try to pull a fast one. Once you're the special counsel, the nation follows it. And remember, this plea agreement kind of fell apart because Hunter Biden's people thought, wait a minute, we didn't hear enough from you about what this covers. And it was almost like they didn't trust Mr. Weiss. So take a look at that. I think they are worrying about something that doesn't exist, which is a bias toward Hunter Biden.
Yeah. Okay, former federal public defender Mark Reichel, always appreciate the time. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.